Hey, Ballroom Boxies, welcome to our little interview today. I want to introduce you to Amber Haider. She has a podcast, Ballroom State of Mind, and is a mindset coach. She is a ballroom dancer, so she's going to tell us a little bit about her journey and what that looks like. And we included in your box, your holiday and winter box, a card that had information about that. So I wanted you to kind of get an opportunity to hear directly from her so that you would know more of her story. So welcome,
Yeah,
Amber.
thank you. And thank you, by the way, for having that idea and contacting me. And that was so fun. Like, that was just such a fun experience for me to even just like make the card and like think about people getting it and think about people being exposed to the podcast who haven't heard it before. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, great. Well, I found Amber last fall and found the podcast and just really enjoyed it myself, my own personal journey. You can flip back and watch a video that I posted a couple of days ago about that. And just my favorite episodes from the podcast were just really, really helpful in my journey at the end of dancing last year. And then also kind of did my own one-on-one with her, and it was very helpful. So we'll get to some of that a little bit later. But Amber, tell us about your dance journey. What kind of got you started?
I always loved dancing when I was a kid. But I never did any professional training. Like, I never like did dance, if that makes sense. But I loved it. I would like make up dances in my bedroom, and I would like never miss a school dance, and I would never miss a church dance. And I even was just remembering today that in middle school, I had this shop class and we were learning how to use all these tools, and they had this engraver type machine. And I took this board and with the machine, was kind of routering out, and I had routed out the word mirror image. And this was like what I was going to call like my dance group that me and my friend were like creating. And we would like make up dances in our room, and we were going to be called mirror image, but it's just so funny to me because I never really pursued. I used to draw ballet shoes like when I was little, and I never danced. It was so interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I did athletics, I did sports, I did soccer, and I ran track. I dabbled in other little things here and there, softball, basketball, really athletic, really loved to move and move my body. But I didn't start dancing until actually, so in my 30s, I was taking a hip hop based fitness class.
Okay.
And I was just participating in it. And they were like, oh my gosh, you need to teach this. Like, you're like one of the best in the class. You should audition to teach this. And I was just like, oh no, like, that's not like, I don't do that. Like, that's not me. I don't get on stages. I don't dance in front of people. It was just like, not me. I didn't see myself in that way.
Okay.
But they kind of wouldn't take no for an answer. So that started in 2012. And I found ballroom in 2019.
Okay.
So in 2019, like 7 years later, I just on a whim popped into a ballroom studio and was like, this looks fun. Like, I want to try this. And it was just a matter of a few months. And I was like, I need more. I need technique. I need routines. I need to compete. Like, I'm in like 100%.
Yeah.
And I didn't look back. So here we are.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what achievement are you most proud of so far in your dancing?
Okay. So the first thing that came to my mind as you said that was this year at the Ohio Star Ball, I won closed gold, which was my goal because I had won for closed bronze, closed silver. And then I was like, I gotta win closed gold. But actually, and I am proud of that. But actually what I'm most proud of is last year we did this competition. It was the NV Ball.
Okay.
And we, they have this thing called the Grand Prix, which you can enter, and there's a cash prize for pro-am competitors, and it's like 10 grand. So I was like, okay, well, we're throwing our hat in that ring. Like, we're going to try, but you had to do a show dance, and we kind of didn't really have one. We had like the bones of one.
Yeah.
And so basically when we were there at that competition, we were like cutting the music and like deciding what we were going to do and how we were going to put it together. At the
competition?
Essentially. I mean, we had started before we went. And so we had the bones of it, and we knew the song we were going to do, but we hadn't finalized the cut, and we had to like finalize the cut and still figure out what moves we're going to go where and how we were going to transition it. So it wasn't like we had nothing.
Yeah.
but it certainly wasn't like done, you know, and really in a matter of hours, like half a day, we like figured out what the music was going to be and figured out all the moves and how we were going to put them together, and then practiced it to the point where it was like, okay, we can pull this off. I mean, I think we both knew like it wasn't going to be like, we weren't going to win. Like we weren't well prepared enough for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that wasn't necessarily the point. It was like, let's just throw our hat in this ring. And it was that experience of doing something that was so hard. Like
Right.
it was so hard. And when we performed it, pretty much like there wasn't really mistakes. Like we got a little bit ahead of time. And so when we kind of got to the end, it was like there was still music and we were like done. And so he had to like improvise this like ending. And you know, it was okay,
Yeah.
but you know, wasn't my best performance. But going through all of that, and then at the end, the way that they score you is the judges lined up and they like held up paddles with like what place they were giving you.
Was
And
that
so
so nerve-wracking?
oh my gosh, like I wanted to barf. I mean, I was standing there and they're like, you know, holding up what they give you. And so you see, and mine were like fourth, fifth, you know, six, seven, six, seven, six. And it's like, okay, out of like 7 couples, I think we got sixth. And so a lot of those scores were in that range. And the nervous system regulation that I had to try to do in that moment. And this is in front of the whole room, like all the spectators, all the other competitors. And like, you're kind of doing the math in your head, like, where did I end up?
Right.
And then they call you, you know, 7th place, 6th place but when I sat down at the table after that, I was like vibrating, like I wanted to throw up. My nervous system was still so frayed. And just the whole experience was like at that edge of what I'm capable of.
Yes.
And we pulled off something that I was like, okay, well, I just met a new version of myself. Like I didn't even know we could put something together that fast. I didn't even know I could remember that choreography that well. I didn't even know, like I for sure thought we would have messed it up way more.
Yeah.
But like as awesome as like, you know, a big comp and doing and winning at a big comp, as like awesome as that is, it's like, no, that experience was like what I'm most proud of.
Right.
Like
I
that we
love
did that. We didn't back down. Like we
Yeah.
did something really hard. And at the end, it wasn't like a success in terms of winning, but
Yeah.
it was like, wow, like look who I am. Look what I do. Like I'm gutsy. Like I'm brave.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most proud of actually in the last year.
That's really cool. I love that. I remember you telling a little bit of that story in one of the podcasts along the way. And so just thinking back even to like hearing you tell that story and to hear you tell it now. And I mean, triple threat, you just won Ohio Star Ball 3 years in a row, like silver, bronze, silver, gold. Like that's incredible. And then to think that something that really was a big achievement for you and your growth wasn't necessarily that it was, you know, another performance, another challenge along the way. That's really cool. I love it. Okay, so now you have done really, really well the last few years. And in a short period of time, you've really made some amazing progress. So what are your goals this year?
Yeah. So last year we went really from like silver into gold, and then we're like dabbling in some open categories.
Okay. Yeah.
So this year I'm learning open choreography. Like really, I've been doing all this in my closed choreography, like,
right.
And competing that in open categories. And so it's time now for me to learn some open choreography. So this year is all about, for me, like really getting into open and doing open choreography, open, you know, routines that have new challenges for me. And then seeing how I do at that level. I don't have like the same, I feel like, you know, bronze, silver, gold, I felt really successful kind of in all of those levels. But I feel like this is, you know, open is open. It's like the highest you can do at a pro-am level. And so I don't have the same expectations. Like, I feel like it's going to take me a year or two for sure, if not 3, to like really feel strong and capable and really competitive at that level. But I mean, you never know.
Totally
You never
understand.
know. So, but
Yeah.
that's where I'm going to be focusing my attention is like, okay, we're going into open, we're doing open choreography, learning new skills. I got to up level my skills and tighten up a lot of my holes that I have. And so it's going to be not a rebuilding year, but
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. How often do you get to practice, or do you get to have lessons?
Yeah. So I do 2 double lessons a week generally, which is, so it's an hour and a half twice a week.
Right.
And that's my lessons. And then we do boot camps generally.
Okay.
Like on the regular, we try to do 2 a month, but depending on competition schedules and stuff, sometimes it's 1 a month or,
Okay. And that's just
and
with your
those,
instructor there locally?
yeah. So he will get all of his students together that can, and he'll do smooth camps and rhythm camps, Latin camps. And generally that's like 3 hours.
Yeah.
If I do smooth and rhythm camp, it's closer to 5 or 6.
Yeah.
And so that might be once or twice a month.
Okay.
In terms of my own practice, um, I always say like I don't practice that much, which people are like, what? But I tend to rely on my lessons and the boot camps. And it's like I do more of that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But
And also
because I'm
teach
yes,
physical, you also teach exercise as
yeah.
well.
So and part of this is like I'm a mom, I have 4 kids. I
Yes.
have my husband's a dentist and I help with his office. I do all of our bookkeeping, all of our payroll, a lot of our like public relations. And then I work at a gym. I only teach once a week at this point, but like I'm
Still,
always preparing for that class.
right.
And, you know, my kids are 20, 17, 14, and 12. So they're like so busy and I'm chauffeuring the younger ones around.
Yes.
And my
Yeah.
schedule is so limited
Yeah.
that my practice looks like pushing grocery carts while I do rumba walks, you know, or like,
Yes.
like
Or
my,
listening to music as you sit and pick up line and
that's right.
playing through your choreography in your head. Yes.
And my kids joke and they say, they'll like imitate me and they'll be like, this is, we call this mom in the kitchen. And they're like dancing, you know, they're
Yes.
like,
Yes.
and so it's like, I walk around my house that way, or
Right.
I walk around the grocery store that, so it's like, I kind of, or I'm standing at my sink and I'm doing releves to strengthen my ankles and my feet. And like, I'm trying
Love
to
it.
just fold it into my
Yeah.
life, because for me to take actual time and go and, you know, go
Yeah.
to a location and
Yeah.
spend even 30 minutes is, it's hard for me to find.
Yeah.
But this is something that even as I talk to my clients, sometimes they feel a lot of guilt for not being able to practice enough, or guilt for not practicing. And so like sometimes I help them navigate that. And
Yeah.
really where I go in my mind is whatever I'm able to do, whatever it looks like, it's going to be enough. And I work really hard to not beat myself up for that or not shame myself for that, and just decide whatever I'm able to do, whatever it's just, it's enough. And we're going to
Yes.
call it enough. And it's going to be exactly what I need. And that might mean I don't progress as fast as I could,
Yeah.
but like, I'm okay with that.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I'm able to do.
So I want to get to coaching and the podcast. So kind of give me a little bit of background on coaching and your training there, and then how that led to the podcast.
Yeah. So as a coach, when I like had formal training, I started my formal training in early 2019. So it's kind of at the same time I started dancing.
Yeah.
But before that, like I would say like I've been a coach my whole life, a coach and a teacher. Like I've always been a big observer of people. Like I'm a people watcher. And so I really understand people and behavior, human behavior, and almost not to like a psychic level, but like I can kind of predict what's happening or what's going to happen based on what I understand about humans. So even though like my formal training was in 2019, I really feel like I've been a coach a lot longer than that. But I did a coaching program and it was a year long. And that's where they like teach you how to coach, teach you a lot of the concepts that I use in my own life and use with my clients I got from that program, plus everything else that I research and read. And I do a lot of kind of continuing education for myself, especially in like sports psychology type topics. So and when I first started coaching, I wasn't coaching dancers. Obviously I was barely a baby dancer myself. So it was about a year and a half, 2 years in, where I had a lady in my studio who knew I was a coach. I was a general life coach at that time. I still do some general life coaching, but she had approached me, and she was, it was post COVID, and she had so much anxiety. She was passing out nearly. She was very dizzy, and like,
Right.
she hadn't competed in 2 years. And so she was the first one who she wanted to coach, and she wanted somebody who understood that world.
Yeah.
And so she was like, do you know anyone? And I was like, I don't know if that person exists, but I will help you. And so she was kind of my first test to see, like, how can I apply these skills and these tools to dancers? Can I help her get some of the same success that I experienced? And it was so gratifying and so rewarding that I just was like, I need to just work with more dancers. Like, I need to help them. I want them to be dancing and having fun and enjoying it and progressing quickly and having more success.
Yes.
And experiencing that success in their dancing. And so that's how that started.
Okay. And then I guess out of that came the podcast.
Yes. Basically, I mean, I had wanted to do, from the moment I started coaching, I wanted to do a podcast.
Okay.
But I wanted to kind of wait until I knew who specifically I was working with. So at the beginning, I was a general life coach, but, and I mostly worked with moms, kind of transitioning out of like the little kid realm and into the, what do I do with myself now realm.
Girl, you could have a whole podcast on that too.
I know. I still think about it. I'm like, maybe I should do a second one. But as
in
I worked with
time.
Yeah. So as I started to work with dancers, and I just was finding myself kind of repeating myself a lot, then I was like, okay, let me do this podcast, and I'll do it for the dancers. And then that way I don't have to repeat myself so much. And it gives the clients too an opportunity to go back and review kind of some of the concepts that we talk about.
Right.
And then I was like, and why not? Like, and anybody that wants to listen to it, it'll benefit them. They get some free help. And if that's like all they need, I'm thrilled. Like, not everybody necessarily wants a one-on-one coach with like a little bit more specific hands-on help. And so if the podcast helps people and they don't ever have to hire me, great. But it is a one way that people find me.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of help from it. And then it leads to them being my clients often if they want more specific help.
Yeah. Okay. So Ballroom Box subscribers, hear her say, do not feel guilty if you listen to all the podcast episodes and it is helpful to you. Like, there's no guilt in that. She is sharing her wisdom and her experience, and it is helpful, and it is so good. So go in and listen to all the episodes. You can start from the very beginning. You can go forward. You can go backward, any way you want to go. But so very helpful. I saw that as I was thinking and kind of reviewing to share what my favorite episodes were. There was definitely a theme in my episodes of my favorites of emotions and feelings.
Yeah.
And like how to get a hold of that, and just mindset going into competition and that kind of thing. And then, obviously there's a whole lot more in your podcast about different things. I was even listening to one today about why compete, if you're not winning. And so just so many really, really great things. So tell me a little bit about the one-on-one coaching that you do with people. Like, what does that look like? What's the process that you have?
Yeah. Okay. So as much as I want that podcast to be helpful for as many people as possible, where one-on-one, so I work with people one-on-one, and where the one-on-one coaching comes in is when I speak in the podcast, I speak in generalities. And just like you, there's certain episodes that resonate with you. And then there's like certain episodes that resonate with other people. But the one-on-one coaching is like, if you wanted to get healthy and you wanted to like lose weight, you can find meal plans, you can find workouts online, and you can be very successful with not a lot of hand holding. Right. But that's the difference between doing that on your own and hiring a personal trainer who works with you and is looking at you and your specific mechanics and your specific goals and how to get you those goals faster or more, even just more directly, because there's a lot of things that those workouts online or those diets online that aren't considering because they don't know you, So when I work with clients one-on-one, I'm specifically working with them. I do it, generally it's 3 months.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of clients that go over that in like direct help. So it's usually every other week for 3 months. So it's 6 sessions over 3 months is where I begin with people. And often that's plenty. Like they're off and running, they've understand, but it's that concentrated, like I'm helping them figure out, how do they think? How do they handle their emotions, and reflecting it back to them, and then giving them the tools to handle themselves.
Okay.
Right. So in those 3 months, they get that baseline of that. After this 3 months, then we can do one-offs. So then it's just like, oh, I have a comp coming up. Can I just grab one session? And then we just do a tune-up, so to speak.
Right.
And I do have some clients who renew and they just love it. They just want to keep going. And even if it's not specifically about their dancing, like sometimes I'm still working with them on other stuff. I'm working with them on their business or their life direction, or they're just discovering that these tools not only help with the dancing, but it's really affecting your mind and your emotions and the way you approach life and the way you operate in life. And that's not just dance, that's everything. So I do have some clients who renew on an ongoing basis too.
Okay. So once every other week for 3 months, you come in and do a Zoom together, and then you work together on goals and things that the dancer is kind of working towards, and just helping them process and work through those things.
Yeah. So there's one tool that I use. I do kind of an assessment at the beginning or within the first couple of sessions. And there's a podcast that talks about I think I call it 7 areas of mental strength. And kind of loosely based on that, like there's kind of the 7 areas that I do this assessment on is like their self-talk. Are they comparing themselves to other people? Their confidence or their self-belief. How motivated are you? How passionate are you? Like, are we enjoying it? We talk about anxiety and stress and how we manage that. And if we're coping with it well, what are the skills we have to cope with that?
Right.
And then also we talk about focus, concentration. Like, am I able to keep my head where I need it? Or do I get a lot distracted by what's going on around me? And then finally, results. So there's a big thing with results and what we do with the results. And so I always want to know, like, if you do well at a comp or in a performance, or if you don't do well, what does that look like? How do you feel about it? Do you become totally unglued by it? So like, we look at all of those, and some people are like, oh no, I don't compare myself at all. So we don't talk about that.
Right.
So it gives me a chance to see where are we in these areas. And then towards the end, we'll do another one. And almost like always, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm like, remember you were a 3 on self-talk. They're like, oh my gosh, like it's crazy how much progress we make in 3 short months.
Yeah, that's so great. Okay. And generally you start, and one thing that we put on the back of the card was that they could sign up for a strategic call. So what does that look like?
Yeah, the dance strategy call is,
there you go.
Yeah, it's a free call. It's 30 minutes. And that's basically the consult. And what I love about that call is they get to bring whatever it is they're dealing with. So if it's like whatever's the top of their mind, if it's like studio issues or confidence issues or whatever's top of their mind, I have them tell me about it. And then I give them strategies immediately for that. So I'm like, okay, to handle that, this is where the direction I would point you in. And then I give them tools for that specific thing. Yes. And then I just like really the last few minutes is where I talk to them about, like, if I think they're a good fit for one-on-one coaching and how long I think it would take. And again, most of them, I think it's the first 3 months is plenty.
Right.
And I do that as a minimum, because we do need that much time for them to really understand themselves and how they operate. Yes. But there's no pressure. Like, that call is free. It's free intentionally. It's 30 minutes. And there's no, just like you said before, no guilt if you don't want to sign up. Yeah. Totally fine. Like, I'm happy to give you that free help in that time for you to see what's possible for you. Yeah. But yeah.
Yay. Okay. So just a little personal aside testimony. I did one of these dance strategy calls with Amber last week because I was processing stuff from the end of the year and had been listening to podcasts as we were snowed in, and I was sewing last week. And so I was like, okay, fine. I just need to do this. And I did it, and it was very, very helpful. So just encourage you guys, if you have been thinking about whether or not to do even just the strategy call, just do it. Like, log in today, fill out the form, do it, because it even just helps. I think I'm a big believer in counseling, coaching, have been all of my life. And even as I was talking to Amber, I feel like I probably am more willing to pay for my kids to do something than I am for me. But it's so important for us too. And like just even loving our families and the people around us, it's a way to take care of ourselves so that we can also better take care of other people. And so just that 30 minutes talking to her, it just really like helped me. It was pretty much things I already knew. And she just gave me some really good words of wisdom on, okay, I think you know what you want to do, and just the encouragement and the impetus to follow through on those things. So it was very helpful. So thank you from my part. And I'm glad I did it because I really can like feel good about encouraging other people to just jump on that and just see if it's a good fit.
Yeah. Yeah. That was my pleasure. It was such a delight.
Yeah. Okay, so couple of fun questions. One is, what is your, gosh, I don't know, this is going to be hard, I think. What's your number one encouragement to competitive dancers?
Okay. This is a big one.
I know, right?
I'm like, how do I distill it down?
You don't have to just narrow it down to one.
My number one encouragement is it just has to do with love. And I have this thing that I say to myself, which is like, love does it better.
Okay.
And so whatever it is you're doing in your dance, like I always want to bring it back to love. Like I want you to keep loving your dancing. So whatever we need to do to keep loving it, to keep enjoying it, like a lot of the work that I do with clients one-on-one comes back to like you loving yourself better. It's you being kinder to yourself. It's better self-talk. It's more encouragement for yourself. It's like believing in yourself, right? It's like to me at the heart of it is love. Like I did a recent podcast. It was like, this isn't about dance at all. And this goes along those same lines.
Yes.
Like I could be like, never quit, like work hard. I could give you like platitudes, but in the end, I think love does it better. If you're keeping it joyful, you're keeping it full of love for your dancing, for yourself, you will succeed. Because as long as you're loving it and keeping yourself loving it, you'll want to persist.
Right.
And you'll persist in a way that feels good. All of us, I think, have tried to like whip ourselves towards a goal or like punish ourselves towards a goal. And you can reach goals that way, but it's not very enjoyable to me. And I'd much rather like love myself there and not wait to love myself at the end because I finally have accomplished something and now I'm finally worthy of something. Like to me, my approach is like, no, we're enough now. Love yourself now. And let's just move towards things because it's fun and because that's going to be a more expanded, full life experience version of us.
Yeah.
And like, let's do it that way. So might not be what people expect, but that's how I
love it. I feel like, so like we're vendors at competitions. We go with the bikes and also with dresses. And so we've gotten to know a lot of dancers in a lot of different arenas, ballroom, country, AM, pro-am. And, as we've gotten to know all of these different dance friends, sometimes they'll come by and they'll just be like, oh, I'm so nervous, whatever. And I'm like, just remember you're doing this because you enjoy it. Like you like dancing. Don't forget that you are here because you like it. And then like, I have to say those on words back to myself, right? Like I'm doing this because I love to dance. Oh yeah. Like it's so hard. It's so easy to get caught up in all the other things sometimes that we forget, oh yeah, I like this. I love dancing. That's why I'm doing.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how many people come to sessions or hire me who are at a breaking point. Like they're like, I kind of want to quit, or their spouse or their significant other is like, why are you doing this? Like you're not even happy, So to me, that's part of what I do. Like why I do what I do is to help them find that joy for it again.
Yeah.
And success to me, it follows when you do it that way.
Right. Okay. So what is your favorite dance?
Oh, I hate this question so much because I don't have a favorite. And there's like, it's funny because there's the ones you're good at. Like, I feel like, there's like my swing, my East Coast swing does really well, like at competitions, and even my mambo does pretty well. And I do like them both, but they aren't necessarily my favorite. Do you know what I mean? And so it's like,
okay.
I like them because they're fun and they score well.
Yeah.
and maybe like they're naturally suited to my fast twitch muscle fibers or something. I feel like cha-cha is like, of course I dance rhythm. So these are the main dances that I dance, but
Sure.
cha-cha is like one that I just want to be so much better at. And so,
Yes.
so I think for me, it's the challenge. It's the challenge of it that makes me like it. So even Bolero was the one of the 5 that was my last to learn. And it's not like the others. It's more like a smooth dance to my body. And I'm not a smooth dancer at this point. So at first I just like hated Bolero. I'm like, I can't stand it. But then it was like, oh, I need to get better at it. And so for a while it was like, I really liked Bolero because that was the one that I was really focusing on. And so you see the improvement in it. So it's like, and I also do all the nightclub dances really. And I love a hustle.
Oh, yes. Of course.
I like salsa a lot.
Yeah.
Probably of the nightclub, I feel like hustle's the one I'm most naturally suited towards. So like the fast, fun ones are the ones that like I tend to like.
Now, so you concentrate in rhythm mostly. Are you thinking smooth is on the horizon as well? Or you enjoy doing smooth?
Well, my partner, Mark Baker, he definitely wants me doing more smooth. If only for like working on my posture and working on some things that will really benefit my rhythm.
Right.
Whether or not I'm going to compete smooth, I don't know. Like it kind of remains to be seen. It's hard to, have been pedal to the metal in rhythm and like getting to this open level and then to like start the beginning and smooth,
Sure.
like back in bronze. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, and again, it comes down, and I've told him too, I'm like, it comes down to like time and money because I've been able to focus all of my time on rhythm. And so if I add in another style, it's like, do I need to do more lessons or am I just diluting my time? And like, do I have the money to add on another style? And then of course, when you compete, that's more entries, which increases the cost. And so it just comes down to like, what even is going to be possible? I'm not sure, but I'm doing a little bit more on smooth, but if I'll compete it or not, I don't know.
Right. I feel like, I don't know if it's been a transition just in the last couple of years, or if I just really noticed it more a little, post COVID, but I feel like people concentrate more now than they did even a few years ago in a specific style. Like I feel like, and maybe it was just where I was exposed before, I'm not sure. If everybody did smooth and rhythm, it just felt like everybody did either standard and Latin or smooth and rhythm. But now you have people who are doing like smooth and Latin, or they're just doing one thing at a time. And it is completely normal to just pick one style of dance and, go all in on that one. And like you said, do lessons in the other, but maybe just really concentrate on competing in one. So it's kind of interesting to see it change a little bit, I feel like.
Yeah. So I haven't totally decided, but another like mantra I have for myself is like, let's just see what happens. Let's just see where this goes. So I just moved. That's how I even found ballroom. It was like, that seems fun. Let's just like take a few steps in that direction and see what happens. So
she is like champion. Yay.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So it's like, okay, let's do a little bit of smooth and let's see what happens. I don't know. Maybe I'll love it too and just pedal to the metal of that for a while. I don't know.
Yay. Great. Okay. Any other words that you would have to our ballroom boxies as they're, continuing on in their journey of either just social dancing or competing?
Well, maybe one last thing I would give, and this kind of comes to self-belief, and I might do a podcast around this in the next couple of days, but believing in yourself is a choice. And I feel like we are hesitant to do that. It's like we need some kind of proof, or we need some kind of like evidence that we can believe in ourselves.
Yes.
But I do think believing in yourself is like, I can do this. Like I'm capable. Like for some reason we feel almost like it's dangerous in some way to just like believe that without evidence.
Or selfish for some reason. We've told ourselves that it's selfish.
Yes. Or it's like arrogant or something. I don't know. It's
right.
And I would encourage people to just try on that. Like, it's okay to just believe in you. Like, like, even if it's just in moments, you might not be able to get to believing in yourself all the time yet, but just like finding those like moments where it's like, no, like, no, I believe in me. Like I'm capable. Like I can do this. And even if it feels foreign, that choice to believe in yourself instead of the choice to like not believe in yourself, which is what we're doing most of the time.
Right.
That choice to just believe in yourself a little bit generates like a spark.
Yeah.
It generates the energy that moves you forward.
Right.
So I want people to just try on that, like, you can do it. Like you're enough right now. Like,
Yeah.
what if you just made the choice to believe in yourself first?
Right.
And it's foreign, but just like try it in moments.
I love that. I love that so much. I tell my girls all the time, you were created beautiful. You're created amazing. Like there's a really, really solid, good plan for you, and don't listen to all the lies and all the other things that are trying to seep in and tell you that you're not enough or that you can't do it, that you're not good enough. So yay. I love that. Really good. All right, Amber, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks so much for sharing your podcast and your wisdom and your experience. I love hearing your stories as you go along. So really appreciate, your time to share with us.
Thank you. My pleasure. I love doing stuff like this. This is like as fun as a podcast is, I'm always like talking to myself. So it's way more fun to talk to somebody else. So
Yay, you gotta get to, that's great. Really good. All right. Well, thank you very much.